All right, we are rolling.
Rolling. Gentlemen and Haig. A lot of shit to talk about today. Wouldn't you say so?
I would.
You know, this is so important that I have allergies, I'm sick and shit, and I still wanted to film this video. I'm going to try my best not to get mad, but today,
Isn't that the point of this whole channel and this show?
yeah,
Where we just get mad and talk.
two angry brothers. We're just mad at the world, you know? So, men, you need to stop apologizing for being a man, for having a nutsack, right? I feel like during these times, especially in the modern times, men are just so afraid to own up to just being a man, just liking man shit, you know, having testosterone, if they have it, because most men don't. And the three main things that I'm referring to is in relationships, right? You got to stop apologizing for having standards in relationships. Also in your career. Stop apologizing for having standards in your career. And the last thing is just your lifestyle. However you want to live, right? And we'll get into all this, but let's start with relationships. You know where I'm going with this, Haig?
Well, how about we start by giving an example of not having standards in a relationship so they understand what you're talking about.
Talk about that barber. Remember that barber?
That's something I'll never forget. That was a very stupid question. But I'll tell him.
Tell him.
So 3 or 4 years ago, I was getting a haircut from some douchebag. And as he was cutting my hair, he said, "Bro, I finally found the one." And I told him, "That's wonderful, man." And then he continues cutting my hair and he says, "She only has 2 kids."
Only.
Only 2 kids.
So, what I'm getting at is us men, we naturally like innocent women. We like younger women. I don't care if you're a 35-year-old man, you're inclined to like an 18-year-old girl. It just is what it is. People might try to crucify me for saying this, but this is a normal thing. Every man feels this way. Most men feel this way. And the people that say they don't are lying. And they crucify you for thinking this way because of feminism. And yeah, it's the legal age. So get fucked if you don't agree with me. It's the legal age. And there's nothing wrong with it. Feminism makes you think about, you know, liking and wifing a 32-year-old woman, single mother, maybe that's been divorced 3 times. You know, I've never heard a man just want that, just desire that. Yeah, I want a 32-year-old girl that has kids without me, and I want to wipe that up. I find that attractive. What man thinks this way? But then they're going to villainize real men for agreeing with what I said. I want a nice 18 to 20-year-old girl, hasn't been around the world, she's a virgin. I don't want a girl who's been to Dubai, Italy, this, that. And usually other men take them, right?
They absolutely do.
It's a different thing. Okay, if you have a rich father, fine. That's a whole different story. But let's be real. What man desires that? And my point is, stop apologizing for wanting this. Stop apologizing for wanting an innocent girl. There's nothing wrong with that. And don't let the world guilt you into thinking there's something wrong with you for wanting that, because you're totally fine. You have testosterone. You're a man. That is okay. I would actually say there's something wrong with you if you don't want that. Usually, especially the men in the US are psyoped, right? Into thinking that they're wrong for this. They're psyoped. You know, it's at this point, they're just pussies. When it comes to everything, bro, do you notice men are so passive? Just cough, let it out, bro. Cough. He's like fucking holding the cough in. It's fine, bro. It's fine.
I got allergies too, bro.
We're not making some crazy grandioso whatever. Yeah, I know. I don't know what up with the allergies. It's insane. My eyes are gonna pop out. This is fucked up.
We need a sponsor, man.
Fuck that shit. So when I'm saying don't be afraid, I'm talking about this, and I'm talking about also other things. Like, you know how men are afraid to go talk to girls today, bro? Men should not think this way. You think men back in the day thought this way? Like, "Huh, I'm afraid to go talk to a girl." It's because they're afraid of invading her space and doing all this. Bro, you're not doing anything crazy. You just go, say hi. If she likes you, she likes you. If she doesn't, cool, then fuck off. Simple as that. They're too, walking on eggshells. They're afraid. What are people going to think about this? You are a man. Let your nuts hang. Don't be afraid to take up space. Just shit like this in your life in general. It's fine. It's fine if you think a girl is cute. You can go, approach her, talk to her. Simple as that. Now, don't be a creep. I'm not saying be a creep. If she doesn't like you, cool, then you can fuck off. But don't apologize for being normal. See, this is why there's this whole male loneliness epidemic they talk about, right, bro?
Absolutely.
Because men are just afraid. They're afraid. You ask a man, why don't you approach girls? Well, I might get rejected. Like, why? I feel like I'm invading her space. I feel like I'm doing this. What, for fucking talking? Like, you feel like you're invading a girl's space for, being at a coffee shop and just saying something, but you would do it to a man. I just don't understand this, man. People, feminism just did this to men. I hear a lot of people saying they're afraid to talk to a girl at the gym or something because they'll be labeled as a creep. They do this type of shit to you to make you feel weird and insecure. They're making you apologize for being a man, right? Everything you do in your life, every desire that you want in your life, they're making you apologize for it. Oh, you think that 20-year-old girl is cute? Oh, you're wrong. Oh, you don't want to marry a 32-year-old used whore, that's been all around the world? You're wrong. You're wrong. At this point, what's left? What's left of your masculinity? What can you want? Can we live? Am I making a point here or am I not?
Absolutely. Like, if a girl has been on a world tour like Aerosmith, the rock band, do you really want to have that be your wife?
No. And you know what? There are these simps in the world. They're going to be fine with that. But if you're actually a real man with testosterone and with a nutsack, you're not going to. Hike, we grew up with a father figure. He was the best role model in the world. Couldn't ask for a better one. Every time we'd see him sharp, dressed in a suit, he'd tell me, son, this is right, this is wrong. Like, this is what you need. Especially our grandfather that we've never met and our other grandfather from our mother's side. They were just alpha men. Not this red pill bullshit. Not this, watch a red pill video and now you're a man. No, they were true alphas. Armenian, from Lebanon, fucking hairy chest, Sean Connery shit, diving in the pool. These men were actual men. So we grew up with these role models. This is what it is. And we saw this. And then while you're growing up, you're like, it doesn't work. How are things like this, but now they're like this? Because everything didn't make sense. Everything Dad was saying when we were younger was right.
Absolutely. At the time, sometimes I was mad and I didn't agree with him, but now I'm older. I realize everything he said was right.
And the last thing I want to say is, we're all unconsciously being programmed, right? By pop culture, by all this bullshit. When you're a 10-year-old kid, right? Let's say you have these masculine role models. Thank God I had some. But a lot of people are fatherless, or worse, they have a cuck of a father. A father that gets ran through, like a floor mat, right? The wife just completely obliterates him. And then you watch these movies, like remember Spider-Man 1? Tobey Maguire? You see a superhero. Like as a kid, you look up to Spider-Man, right? He's like your superhero. He's getting cucked by Mary Jane. He's like, Mary Jane! Mary Jane! This bitch is going around fucking every guy she sees. She got married one time. She canceled on the wedding day. Just used, right? Rejected him a million times. He's chasing. You might think this is funny, but this is not funny. I know it sounds funny. It's like, oh, just Spider-Man. No. When you're a 10-year-old kid watching your superhero and seeing the dynamic between him, a man, and the girl he wants, it fucks your brain up because that is not normal.
Yeah, and
Makes you think it's normal.
And before we move off the topic of Spider-Man, I don't want to veer too off topic, but you also have to be very careful about getting brainwashed. Everything in that movie, the fact that the villain is like a billionaire that owns a company and
money's bad.
Money is bad. Every single villain is somehow rich, and the good guy is a nice, humble, hardworking, poor guy. All brainwashing.
This is crazy. This is how they program you. You're subconscious. See, when you're watching the movie, you don't know it. You're just a 10-year-old kid. You love Spider-Man, but you grow up, this is all in your head. Even when you're an adult, every single thing you watch is programming you in the way you think. So I'm not saying, don't watch any movies or whatever, but understand what's happening and keep the entertainment here and keep your morals and your ethics and your beliefs right here. Is that a good note to end on?
Yeah, I would say that anytime you're consuming any form of media, whether it's Instagram, social media, movies, Netflix, you have to turn on that switch, that detector, to detect any kind of brainwashing that's going to happen.
This is bullshit.
It needs to be engaged at all times.
100%. And I don't care if everyone says you're wrong, but if you have those gut feelings as a man where you feel like something is right, something is wrong, and you just believe in something, right? And all of these weird pussies, these mainstream whatever, you know the type of people I'm talking about. They tell you you're wrong. Trust your instincts. Trust your gut as a man. You're not wrong. They just want to control you. They want to tell you you're wrong. Remember, you have a nutsack. Don't be neutered. Haig,
Yes,
my brother. My dickhead brother.
as always.
I want you to tell them about, just your career as a man, right? And your goal, your vision. And when I say your, obviously whoever that's watching this, I want you to tell them how persistent you have to be to not be misguided, right? So let's say what you want isn't normal, right? You want a better life. Like, you don't want to have a boss. You don't want to clean toilets. You don't want to be bossed around as a man. And people are guilting you and telling you, no, man, it's just fine working a normal job. It's fine, I want you to talk about this. Is it?
Well, there are two very important things that I want to start off with. Is first, having the presence of a standard. If there's no presence of standard in your life, then that's when you become a feather in the wind. Do you really want to just be guided wherever the wind takes you? You're going to be at whatever job with whatever girl. That's the kind of life you want to live.
Oh, you have an ego, bro.
So the first part is simply making sure you have some sort of standard. And then part two, which is the very hard part, is being absolutely firm on your standard. Whenever life gets hard, whenever there's pressure around you to lower your standard or change your standard, standing firm on it. Once you do those two things, that's when your life will start to improve. If you just have a standard, you're firm on it for a long enough period of time, you will see your life start to change. That's what happened to me.
How much did you hate working for other people?
It tormented my soul.
How much did I hate it?
We both were just disgusted by the idea of calling another man boss.
Remember Jeff from Target?
Fucking Jeff. Of course I do. You talk about it all the time.
Cats out. Yeah. He would literally act like, stacking cat food was a purpose in life. He was like, Don, you're not urgent. You're not urgent. What the fuck do you want me to be urgent about? Working at Target?
Of course we're not urgent. If you have a career where you're making like a really good amount of money and you're happy with your career, then you know what? Good for you. But if you're working a 9-to-5 job, which if you're watching this, you probably are, and you're making like $1,500 to $2,500 a month.
You're in the Truman Show.
You're in the Truman Show. You should not take your job seriously. I would actually advise you do the minimum amount of effort to get paid your salary, and then that's it. But don't work any harder.
This is the thing. They gaslight you, though. Like, Jeff, your managers, people, they're going to say you're lazy. You're a lazy person. Even if you're in school, they're going to call you lazy. No. If you're not lazy, listen, do the bare minimum at your job, at whatever. If you're at school and you know school isn't for you, you're not lazy because you don't want to do that shit. You're going to put your hard, focused effort on your business that you're working on. That's going to take off, right? So they're going to gaslight you and think, oh no, you're just a lazy person because you have no urgency. They want you to have urgency. It's like stacking shelves, bro. This is the thing. They'll make you feel bad. And then as a man, you're going to go lower to please them, right? Because you're going to take it to heart. You're going to be like, oh shit, what if I am lazy? No, you're not.
If you're going through life and you never feel that you're upsetting people, then you're going to have a very shit quality of life. You're probably going to be in the same place your entire life. You're simply existing in the same town because you were born there. You're staying there because you were born there. You never bothered to go see what life has to offer. I'm even intentional with the clothing I wear. I'm wearing a nice peak polo. Of course I'm wearing a nice sky blue peak polo with white pants. I'm very intentional with
Who do you think you are, bro? You think you're better than me? Dressing up nice? I feel underdressed. That's how they talk to you.
I am the curator of my life. See, a few years ago, We were living in a shitty studio apartment. We had one bed in there, which Dawn took, and I slept on the fucking couch.
Older brother, motherfucker.
And I was on the couch. It was in an alleyway behind a CVS pharmacy. If you're in the US, you probably know what that is. You can't imagine this place looking too nice. It was absolutely horrible standard of living. And I said to myself, I cannot be living this way. I deserve better. This is not to my standard of living.
The only thing, bro, that actually kept us going was our standards. Like, we never apologized for wanting more. Even though people basically, like, people would just try to take us down. You know what? This Truman Show shit is so accurate. You literally worked at Macy's 3 times. Then, you know when it was like super Truman Show shit? When you're at the dealership. Listen, I always recommend a sales job if you're a young man, right? But eventually you got to graduate from that too. Remember when you tried to leave to focus on the agency, how they just tried to pull you back in? It's almost like what you wanted, like they tried to gaslight you into thinking it might not work. They did that to me too.
Absolutely. When I was working at a VW dealership, I was a very good salesman, right? And they knew that. The GM knew that I was a very good salesman. I would sell a decent amount of cars, and he knew I had sales ability. I was very capable in the area of sales. But I took it just seriously enough to make sure I stayed at the job and I got paid. And a lot of the times I would, go to the bathroom and then answer some emails, get some work done. I had a company at that time where I would send emails on behalf of other businesses to like generate sales appointments for them. That's what I did. So I'd go in the bathroom, answer the emails, book some appointments, and I'd make like $500 in the bathroom. And I walk out, go back on the sales floor. And I did this for a period of about 3 or 4 months until it got to the point where I was making about double the amount I was making at the job just from my phone answering emails.
And they try to make you feel like you're wrong for that. Like, oh, you got to stay in this job. You got to be like this guy working. He's promoted. The guy that was making a lot of money in that job.
Yeah.
But you make more money than him now.
Yeah. And I basically, walked into the manager's office and I told him, I really appreciate this opportunity that you gave me. But, I have this situation going on, this business, and I'm going to leave, And he didn't allow me to leave until,
He's like Marlon, the friend, man.
He's Marlon, the friend.
With the beards. Nah, bro. You can't leave the Truman Show, bro. Come back in.
He realized I was dead serious, and I left. And then 3 months later, I was scratching my sack in Italy with my brother. We were drinking spritz, wearing nice clothes, talking to pretty women, enjoying the beautiful Italian sunshine.
While that guy that was the best salesperson there was stuck at the dealership 24/7. It's like almost even Jeff, right? You know what he told me? He was like, Don, don't you want to be like me one day? Be in my position? What? You have a manager over you, dumbass.
You're instructing me on how to stack cat food in a particular way. Do I really want to be in your position?
The manager at the car dealership said that to me too. It's like, see, they'll try to guilt you. They'll try to bring you down. But, just because you, right, as a manager, never had standards, right? You didn't care about working for someone else. This was fine for you. You wanted to work at Target your whole life. Doesn't mean I'm like that too. And I'm not going to apologize for not being urgent. I'm not going to apologize for not putting my best foot forward. It's a 9 to 5, I'm here to get paid. I'll stack the cat food and I'll leave. I'm going to put that effort towards my life. And There's nothing wrong with that.
And now, because we have a standard and we stood firm on our standard for a long enough period of time, we're living the life that we want to live. It's really that simple. When we were, traveling country to country in Europe, people in our hometown were opening our stories and saying all sorts of shitty stuff. Luck, daddy's money, bullshit.
Oh, don't get me started about that guy. He's like, oh, daddy's money.
When you actually break the script and escape the Truman Show, the paid actors within the show cannot fathom what it took for you to escape the show. Because they're living on autopilot. They have no standard in their life. So of course they're just cruising through their job, cruising through having their ugly girlfriend, cruising through their boring, tame life. And they see what you're doing, and they can't believe that someone can actually do it.
They're still there with the same girl, the mediocre girl they're with that has kids with like 2 different men. They're there at the same job. They're there with the same shitty friends, smoking weed all day, rotting. And for some reason, these types of people will tell you that you have an ego. That you're wrong. You're wrong for wanting more. Like, they'll see you with a beautiful young girl. They'll be mad. They're like, this is wrong. Oh, you only date young girls. She's 20. You're too old for her. Like, wait, what? I'm sure, motherfucker, if you could, you would too. right?
Absolutely.
I'm sure if you could travel around the world and have your own business, you would too. I'm sure if you could have the friends that we have, you would too. But you see,
Absolutely. But instead, one time a year, you book a mediocre vacation to all-inclusive resort in, I don't know, Mexico for a whole week. And then when you come back after the week, you realize that I truly wished my life could be like this forever. And us, we literally handed the keys to our apartment. We living out a suitcase for 4 months because we wanted to. For 4 months on a vacation. And I didn't want a vacation anymore, so I stopped. That's our life, because we have a standard. But you, a feather in the wind, you don't even have a standard to stand firm on. Of course, you're not going to be able to live the life you want.
but you know what's funny? It wasn't always like this. See, during our story, bro, we were like the black sheep. We were like the odd one out. Like there was 99 normal sheep. We were the black sheep. Like it didn't feel so good. They almost guilt you into feeling you're wrong.
Absolutely.
So this is why it's so important. Don't apologize. Don't apologize. You are a man. And when I say man, I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying 99% of men aren't men because they have no testosterone. You're a man. Your nuts should hang.
Let him
You
hang.
go out with the woman you want to go out. You work the job you choose to work. And you hang around the people you want to hang with. You don't do drugs. You don't do bullshit. Simple as that. And you have nothing to apologize for.
Amen.
So the last thing I want to talk about is have standards in your lifestyle. So we all grow up. We go to all these high school, all this shit. There's the cool kids. There's the dorks. There's the normal kids. But you have to understand who you're around shapes you as a person. I don't care if you're the best person on earth. If you're hanging with 5 people that are all doing drugs, you're going to end up doing drugs unless you're very strong. So when you see this and you have your core values as a man, right? We've always had this, right, Hike? My dad always told me, son, if you do drugs, something's going to happen. If I'm dead and you're doing drugs, I'm going to come from heaven or the ground, wherever the fuck I am, and I'm going to fuck you up. That's what my dad told me. This is why it's very good having a masculine role model in your life. I always had the same belief moving forward. I don't like drugs and I don't like people who do drugs. What's the point of drugs? So I stand firm on my beliefs. So when you're a younger kid going out, you're going to have friends. And they're going to want you to do this stupid shit. But you're going to have your core beliefs. And they're going to try to convince you, right? They're going to say you're lame, you're this. You're going to be like, you should not feel lame. You should not apologize for not wanting to do drugs and not wanting to do stupid shit. You shouldn't tell your friends, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to come. I'm not going to do it. No, I don't do drugs. Simple as that. This is my belief. Do you agree, Hike?
Absolutely. That is a foundational belief that I've always had. It's been instilled in me by my father.
100%. So don't compromise your lifestyle. Have standards. And don't apologize for being the way you are. This is you. If your friends in high school are doing that, if there's some hot girls, right, that you want to hang with, and they're convincing you that this is the right thing to do, don't feel like you have to do it. Screw them. If they won't hang with you, if there's no drugs, then that's their problem. Be confident in your beliefs as a man. You're a man, and you do not apologize for it. If you like being healthy, going to the gym, not doing drugs, focusing on your business, that is your prerogative. And you should not feel bad for that. You shouldn't look at all your friends. I don't care if you have 10 friends and they're all doing the same dumb shit and you're the one black sheep and you're the boring guy. Doesn't matter. This is your belief and you can make whatever you like cool. You should laugh at that shit. You should say, nah, fuck that shit. I'm a man and I'm standing firm on my beliefs. I don't like drugs and I don't hang out with losers. Simple as that. You need to understand this because the world is going to try to put you in its frame sometimes. All the bad influences. The same thing when we were talking about the relationships. Same as, let's say, your career, what Hike talked about. But you have to know what you want in your life, and you don't apologize for being that way, and you roll with it. Would you agree?
100%.
And, it was kind of funny when we were in the US, right? We just didn't like most people there. Most of the people we hung with, we didn't connect, man. And because we had standards for ourselves, we said no. This is our way of living. We found a way to make money, to go live where we want, and we actually met friends that we align with, right? Most people, most men would say, this is all I have. I can't move out of here. This is all I got. So I'm going to hang with this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. No. You know, in an alternate universe, Hike, we would have stayed there. We would have hung out with people we didn't like. We would have worked a job we hated. And we would have been in a relationship with some girl that we didn't like either. This is what most men do. And you know, when you actually take a stand and say, no, fuck this. This is the type of girl I want to go out with, right? A girl that I would be proud to have kids with. I'm not going to look at my son, right, and say, yeah, your mom was a whore. No. I'm not going to work a job that I'm not proud of, right? Have some guy bossing me around. And I'm not going to have friends that are dickheads, that are drug addicts, right?
Absolutely.
And these people, all of these people, society, these people I talked about, will guilt you for having your morals and your standards, correct?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, you're crazy, man. You think you're better than everyone else. What, because I don't want to have a boss? Because I don't want to date a whore? Because I want to have good friends that make money, that do shit in the world, that don't do drugs all day? I don't think so. I'm not going to apologize for being me. That means everyone else is low level and I'm on a different level.
I guess we just are better than everyone else.
Yeah, so fuck everyone. Don't apologize for having standards in your life. Simple as that. You're a man. Walk with your dick out. Simple.